Hi everyone, I'm Emre. Today I will be talking about Adobe's customer data breach event. This attack has affected more than 38 million active Adobe users and marks one of the biggest cyber attacks in the world. Before I provide you more details about this data breach, I want to talk about Adobe and their famous products. Adobe's business concentrates on the creation of multimedia and creative software products. And recently, they are shifting more towards digital marketing softwares. Adobe's most recognizable products are Adobe Flash, a web software ecosystem, Adobe Photoshop, which is an image editing software, Adobe Illustrator, which is a vector graphics editor, and Acrobat Reader, the PDF, as everyone knows, this extension in their documents. On October 3rd, 2013, the company originally reported that 2.9 million customers' sensitive and personal data was stolen in a security breach, which involved encrypted credit card information. Adobe later acknowledged that 38 million active users had been influenced, and the attackers got access to their IDs and encrypted passwords, along with many inactive Adobe accounts. Adobe didn't make it explicit if all the personal information was encrypted, for example, email addresses and physical addresses. Adobe knew the security on the backup server was defective because it used the same encryption key for all passwords. While the Photoshop giant planned to use a new encryption system and intended to decommission the old backup server, it hadn't done the job. Other than this event, Adobe's Flash Credit has also been criticized for undergoing performance, memory usage, and security problems. Hackers have discovered vulnerabilities in Adobe programs, such as Adobe Reader, to obtain unauthorized access to Adobe users' computers in the past. There was a data leak in the database of Adobe Photoshop. A 3.8 gigabyte file was stolen from Adobe, and it carried 152 million usernames, reversibly encrypted passwords, and unencrypted password hints. Experts indicated Adobe failed to use best practices for securing the passwords. It's also stated that Adobe practiced a weak encryption process in allowing the recovery of a lot of information with minimal effort. This file contained Adobe usernames, poorly encrypted passwords, customers' credit card numbers, account creation date, subscription and payment status, local time zone, member ID, time of the last login, and whether they were an Adobe employee. Adobe believes moving to cloud created security vulnerabilities in their databases. From 2011 to 2013, Adobe shifted from selling desktop license to cloud-based, and it was unavailable to transition from any software company at the time, but also made Adobe vulnerable. The former CSO, Brad Arkin, the company's high security title at the time, had an article about this attack. Arkin states that they still had all the desktop code, but they were very much a service delivery company. In the old days, the idea was that product engineering was totally separate from IT security and didn't really hold anymore. After the attack, Adobe notified customers whose credit or debit card information believed to be involved in the incident. Adobe also offered customers whose credit or debit card information was involved the option of enrolling in one-year complimentary credit card monitoring membership. The company also notified the banks processing customer payments for Adobe so that they can work with the payment card companies and card issuing banks to help protect customers' accounts. And Adobe contacted federal law enforcement and are assisting in their investigation to ease this process. Following stealing customers' data, cyber thieves are also obtained Adobe's source code repository, anticipated in mid-August 2013. Since hackers got copies of Adobe proprietary products source code, they could find and utilize any potential vulnerabilities in its security. Adobe also stated that hackers stole parts of the source code of Adobe Photoshop, which according to commentators could enable programmers to copy its engineering techniques and will make it more accessible to copy illegally expensive products of Adobe. The company knew its security practices at the time were deficient, since it used the same encryption key for all passwords. As a consequence of this data breach, Adobe has paid an undisclosed amount to settle customer claims and faced $1.2 million in legal fees after this data breach, which compromised the details of 38 million users. Adobe took responsibility for the attack and encountered many customer claims along with lawsuits. Adobe should have definitely not applied the same encryption key for all passwords. In other words, it's like a domino effect. Once the attackers get the encryption key of one password, they're able to retrieve all the other passwords. Data breaches are a constant threat for all organizations, and no matter how many policies, strategies, or defenses there are, sooner or later, a skilled attacker will be able to compromise them. The effects of a data breach for business can be determinable. While many big tech companies pay millions of dollars as a ramification of those attacks, some startup companies go out of business within 6 months after a data breach. So it's essential to stay protected and prepare everything possible to prevent data breaches. And recovering from a data breach and returning to a business is totally doable. So having a recovery plan is critical. I believe every organization should have its own recovery plan. And once an organization sees a breach, it's vital to restrain the breaches as soon as possible. The ways an organization will restrain the breaches depend on the nature of the attack and the system that is affected. It would help if they start by isolating any system accessed by the attacker so that they can prevent the breach from spreading the entire network. After getting the first steps in recovering from a data breach, a security audit is necessary to evaluate the organization's current systems and prepare for future recovery plans. There are many crucial steps companies can take to prepare to avoid those cyber attacks. I believe companies should train their employees and educate them about cyber security, and routine security and privacy training is advisable. All sensitive data should be protected regardless of whether the data is used or not. Even when disposing of storage, the data contains and should be shielded for additional protection. And organizations should limit the access to certain systems by people who are not connected to the department, and make sure that sensitive data is handled only by relevant professionals. Here are the websites I referred to in my presentation. As we approach the end, I want to express that this cyber attack is worthwhile for other companies to take a lesson because they should take precautions against any similar attacks. I'd like to pose two questions related to this event. The first one is that how should companies become more aware of potential data leaks in their databases before they get attacked? And the second one is, in response to companies' responsibility in dealing with potential security vulnerabilities, should the government be more aggressive against those companies? Thank you.